Hey, this is JT from JT Corn Rings, and this week on Let's Chat, we're talking to Hand Crafted by Phil. We have an opportunity to sit down and get personal with this corn art creator, ask his motivation behind his work, and also to see what's next for him. Check me out this Saturday for the last episode of Let's Chat. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my YouTube channel, JT Corn Rings. I'll see you this Saturday. Also, we will be giving out a beautiful corn art from this creator. Check me out. I'll see you then.
Hey, how you doing? This is JT from JT Corn Rings, and today we have a special guest, the creator behind Hand Crafted by Pfeil. Will be an honor to have this corn ring creator here today. He will sit down with me and talk to me about when he started, what motivated him to start making corn ring art, and what is his plans for the future. So today we will have the creator stationed in Germany. So this is definitely a treat, and I hope everyone will enjoy. You will find him on his Instagram, Handcrafted by Pfeil. Join me right now with the creator. Let's speak to him while he's in the queue. Hey, how you feeling?
How you doing, JT?
Hey, he said I came in all pumped. He said, "Hey, GT." Man, thanks, and I appreciate you stopping by and giving me the opportunity to sit back and talk to you. And I'm a big fan of your work. Had an opportunity to stumble across your platform on Instagram. A friend of mine's, Blades and Bullion, showed me the beautiful pendant you made with the chain. He sent it to me in my DM. He said, "Man, look at this." And I went to your page and I saw all of this beautiful work. I don't know what was more beautiful, the photography or the craftsmanship you put behind those corn rings and the necklaces and everything. I was definitely impressed, man, and definitely wanted to have you on once that we had opportunity to talk. So welcome to JT Corn Rings channel. This is my episode I call Corn Ring Talk on my episode on YouTube of Let's Chat. Thank you so much for joining me.
Man, I appreciate it. That was a lot of very kind words. Thank you so much.
Uh, Man, I tell you one thing, you are definitely a craftsman. And when I put together this segment, that's all I could say. I was like, this is a professional page. I can tell you put a lot behind your work, and also presenting your work. And being a corn rings craftsman myself, one of the things that I find so difficult is presenting the work. I don't know if you recognize that in some other artists' page, but when you present the work, it's a good representation of what you're trying to portray to the world. You want to make sure you show your work in the best light. And when I looked up and down your Instagram page, I saw just that. I kind of felt every portion showed, every cut edge was shined exactly how you intended for it to show. The patina was on every part of the ring. And I think that when you showed it, you wanted to make sure that, hey, the person's seeing exactly all the detail. And I think that's important as a corn ring artist. You want to make sure the detail is there in the beauty of the ring or the necklace. And what I'm falling in love with right now is the bracelets, which I hope to one day bring into my arsenal of corn ring art. So, for those who have not seen your Instagram, tell me who is the creator of Hand Crafted by Pfeil.
So it's to me, it's a one-man show. My name is Ralph, and um, I'm from North Carolina. Grew up I went to high school. I was a junior in high school. I saw, you know, the World Trade Center, attacks, planes crashing into the World Trade Center, and yeah, I don't know if it was just that I was at the right age or whatever combination it was, but it was such a wrong to me that I was a few months out of high school and I was in the Marine Corps, and standing there on Paris Island getting taught how to be a Marine. It's a nice way to say it. And but yeah, since then, I mean, I'm next month I'll hit 16 years active duty, and I shoot artillery. But I was lucky enough to come here to Germany and work with the Wounded Warrior Battalion, and so I help take care of wounded, ill, and injured Marines that aren't having their best day coming out of Afghanistan, or they're injured in this part of the world. They get funneled through the hospital here in Germany. We take care of them while they're here, along with it's really a joint operation with the Army and the Navy and the Air Force. We're all in it together while we're here to take care of the patients, and then we funnel them back to the States to receive follow-on care.
Wow.
But yeah, that's what I'm doing for my day job, and then I come back in the evening, and it's really a kind of it's relaxing to it forces you to focus on what you're doing. Otherwise, and I have pictures to prove it. You're talking about the pictures. I do spend a lot of time on those, and I appreciate all the kind words you said.
You're welcome.
But I also have pictures of projects that are completely ruined because, I'm sure you understand, if your head's not in it, you get distracted, you're thinking about something else, and you go and, maybe, I get that one last press in and something was crooked.
That's right.
And, there goes $20 to $30 worth of silver into the scrap jar. And,
Easily.
And yeah, I did it. I did that one time to a repeat customer. So he was, he understood, but I told him, and he was a retired Army first sergeant. And I held up the mangled Libertad that I had been turning into a ring for him. And I was like, I'm sorry, brother, but I got to start over. This is what happens when your head's not right. And he's like, I 100% understand. Take your time.
Right. But first, I like to say thank you so much for your service and your continual service and what you do, not just here in the States, but what you're doing abroad. I definitely appreciate that. It speaks for the caliber of man that you are, and I thank you for making that sacrifice on a continual basis. Not just for us, but for
I appreciate it. Thank you for your support.
No problem at all. But one of the things that I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. You talked about 9/11 around the year 2000. What motivated you to join, they say, the elite, the Marines?
So I wish it was a little better of a story, but to be honest, the average 17-year-old, he doesn't know the difference between the Army and the Marine Corps and any of the other branches. I don't think. I know I certainly didn't. And I had walked into the Army's office and taken my tests with them. But to be perfectly honest, those individuals that were recruiting at in North Carolina that day, they just came off as so used car salesmen to me, like pushing it a little too hard, and it just maybe it was just fate that was not what I was after,
Right.
And I didn't really know how to say it or how to verbalize what I was looking for, but when I walked into that office, I realized that wasn't it.
Okay.
And then I moved on, and the Marine Corps recruiter picked me right up. So
wow. And 16 years, you said you'll be coming up to right now, this next year, correct?
January next month. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. 16 years. That's amazing. I always had a fond likeness for the Marines, um, not just because of the movies, but relatives of mine who served in the Marines as well. Um, my cousin taught me how to drive a stick shift. And let me tell you, that was a very interesting learning experience. I remember not getting it, not understanding the process of shifting gears, and he would put me on the road. And one thing he screamed at me completely was, "You control the car. Don't let the car control you." So
You got to take charge.
got to take charge. And I had another uncle who gave me my first martial arts, my gi, when I first started martial arts at around 14 years old. And that was he served some time in Bolivia, um, and that's where he is, I think, until this day. So, um, so having relatives who served, and I always had a likeness, and I always um, was drawn to the discipline aspect, and I knew how hard it was for you to attain the position that you have now. So, and with that discipline, tell me how you transcend that to your coin ring crafting.
It's a good question. I think it just has there is definitely a point to be made about attention to detail for
Hmm.
anybody who does this. Um, like I was saying earlier, it only takes a millimeter difference between getting a good fold out into a coin ring and
Hmm.
having the product turn out great, or that 1 millimeter off, you fold it down, and then there's that infamous wobble in almost any
Oh,
half-dollar piece that I know
yes.
a lot of us still fight.
It's painful, man. It's painful. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I understand that because that's one of the things that I had difficulty with. But one thing about this craft of doing coin rings is that you have to go with those growing pains, and I think everyone had a ripped coin, a coin that cracked at that inconvenience time. You're stretching it and you thinking, hey, I got, like you said, one more time I can go, and there you go, you ruined it. For me, it was many
Yeah.
JFK half dollars. It was many Ben Franklin's, and
Sure.
recently it's been the 50 pasties, the Egyptian coin that I
Okay.
love. Has beautiful wings that go to the bottom of the coin. I've bought like three coins. Two coins I destroyed. One I saved, and one I won't touch because I'm looking for that right time to make sure my mind is clear before I touch it.
That's
So
terrible. I'm
definitely,
not laughing at you. You got to laugh so you don't cry.
you're absolutely right because I feel the pain when you take a $50 coin, something I won on eBay, because people wanted to really get this coin. And what I found out, it was a commemorative coin of 100 years of the Bank of Egypt or something like that. So I was like, man, I really want to do this coin right. Even though I saved one, I had to save it from the crack. And this one here, I want to make sure it's perfect. But I'm gonna hold off until my mind is right. So I definitely agree with you with that. You got to make sure you're in the right mindset before you go on. So tell me, how did you hear about coin rings? I mean, it's not something that we learn at the dinner table when we with our parents and they talked about hobbies or careers. So how did you stumble across it?
So there was a like a patriotic apparel company, which I won't mention the name because they're a large company and I don't want any trouble.
Got
Um, but love their products.
you.
I have several of their shirts and stuff like that. And they had a bicentennial $50 coin ring
Mm.
on their site. And I was like, that is awesome. It's an awesome piece of Americana, 1776. It's beautiful. It's like, this is great. Bought it. came to my house, put it on. I was initially very happy, but it was short-lived. Within 1 or 2 weeks, the patina had all rubbed off.
Oh, wow.
My finger was turning green. Now I start paying more attention. I'm like, man, all of these edges are squared and rough.
Wow.
It is not even as like a novelty item,
Right.
which can mean, good or something good or bad, but
yes,
in this case, it was bad. Wasn't happy with the product at all, but I really liked the idea of it. And, in standard Marine Corps fashion, it's like, I can do better than this. And so went to the college of YouTube and did some studying,
mm-hmm.
a couple hours of studying in, and I had the idea down.
Okay.
So I started off with, I think, about $300 worth of tools, like, the Chinese stretcher, Harbor Freight punch, a couple other basics. And I started with, just clad quarters that you would find in your pocket. And it was a good time to start because the statehood quarters were everywhere, and they're still, they're pretty numerous.
Mm-hmm.
But you just start punching those, and they were clad. But like you were talking about, those lessons that you kind of have to learn just by doing it. Excuse me. They just have to learn by doing it and making those mistakes and looking at a product that, looking at a ring that you make that you're happy with.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at it again 6 months later and you're like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, why would anybody like this?
Yeah.
But it lets you know that you're improving, so it's a good thing. And I moved up. I don't think I touched a piece of silver at least a year.
Oh, wow.
I was just too afraid. I was too afraid to do it. But then as soon as I did, I realized that I was afraid of nothing. And silver was way easier to work. The finish on it was way smoother. And, you can get the patina just, that graduated dark to light patina with steel wool.
Right.
And I'd never touched a clad piece after that. I mean, I'll play around with some quarter or some copper rounds every once in a while. But the silver got me as soon as I folded the first one, and I was like, oh, that's it. Folding with like one finger, It got me as soon as I started messing with silver.
It definitely feels like butter when you nail it right. So I definitely understand that. So it's like going to that next level. So that's impressive that you waited a whole year before you went to another metal.
I'd like to say it was some kind of discipline, but it was fear.
Wow. Well, it's a good story any way you put it, because it tells you that if you tell someone who just started, it will encourage them to make sure they put a lot of practice in before they actually go to that next metal. Even if it was fear, for me, I just wanted to get to the next coin. And it was a rush thing. I wanted to see if I can do it. I think I shortcutted myself a little bit by going ahead of the curve because it didn't give me the opportunity to work all the kinks out. So I wish I would have, looked at a little bit more videos before I went to the next step. But I'm slowly getting it now. Exactly what you said earlier. Looking at the rings that you've done in the past, and you look at them today, I'm like, what was I doing? So I find myself now right at this point looking at all this art, and I start seeing like artists like yourself, mint condition corn crafters, Eric Eason, he's born in North Carolina as well. That's where he is right now, and he makes beautiful rings. And looking at some of that advice he gives me, like looking at the cut edge, making sure he can mirror finish. So in this corn ring thing, who are some of the number one influences who help you or guided you through this journey?
I'm glad you said some, because when you told me the question before and it was like the number one, I'm like, this is an impossible question. An impossible question to just say one. because of the process that we were just talking about. And
Right.
you get influenced by different people during different points to the process. You know, so I did make a couple notes because there are some people like that I wanted to point out. And one of them, so of course, like, you know, your last guest, Skylar, was huge on YouTube.
Yes.
Even 3 years ago, when I was starting, and I feel like I hit like just the right moment to start because it seemed that the tools were just coming out. And
Right.
maybe like, you know, just before I had started, the tools were starting to be introduced.
Yep.
So I got lucky that I wasn't ever, you know, like rawhide malleting a ring on a mandrel.
I would have not made it.
You know. Yeah, it would have been tough to keep going. Yeah, that would have been tough. So kudos to all the salty guys out there who've been around and, you know, learned how to do it on a mandrel with a mallet, because that's tough. But Pure Metal Alchemy is a big channel, and he going to talk about like having some, how do you say it, like just being a showman, you know. He's quite the showman, and
I agree.
Gets in front of the camera and does it all on camera. You know, if you make a mistake, it's there for everybody to see, but no worries, because I've never seen him make anything other than perfection.
You're absolutely right.
And so it's amazing. But he would give me some advice up front, and definitely the inspiration for any kind of a bangle. You know, like he was big into doing those bangles. Maybe he was the first. It's hard to say anymore, you know. But
I believe he was the first. I believe he was.
Yeah, and but you know, he's got that bangle stretcher, and that thing's nice. I ended up finding a way to do that. If you want to hear something funny, the first bangle I made was on like a Harbor Freight pipe stretcher.
Wow.
And how I ever got that thing around after I stretched it with those pieces of garbage is a miracle.
Oh wow.
I've since then I found a guy. He's an Englishman. Yeah, and so I got his cone set that allows me to use my press and keep it going out to a cuff size. And I bothered him a little bit and made him make me. I think he goes out to like 5 centimeters on his largest cone. And I talked him into giving me a 6 centimeter at the end. But he's a champion, and I don't even think he charged me extra for it. So I can't guarantee that's what he'll do for anybody else. And maybe I shouldn't even have said that. But
that's okay. But we have you on tape now, and I'll make sure I contact him and say, Neil, you did it for Ralph.
Ralph's over here throwing you under the bus.
Yes, I know that I see him a lot on the Facebook page, and he talks to a lot of other crafters on that as well. So he's a pretty cool guy. And he has a good sense of humor as well. Yeah. So who else?
I won't take so long going through the rest.
Oh, no problem. Go ahead.
I was like, I mentioned Old Yankee coin rings. He gave me the invaluable yet simple tip to use blue shop towels for things.
Yes.
And I use them for everything. You know, they you know, get cut into strips, cut into patches. You know, they go around the ring stretcher while, you know, to protect the inner detail. If I'm throwing a mercury dime into a dapping block to, you know, to dome it out, they go in the bottom of that. I know some people use like plastic or Ziploc bags. I haven't. It scares me. It just doesn't look thick enough, you know. Maybe it's because I can see through it that I don't trust it.
Okay.
But yeah, the blue shop towels, it's so simple. But at that moment, for me, it was crucial. It was a crucial tip to keep me going. And Kurt Feger with Coin Ring Creation. This guy makes, you know, 3 rings from 1 coin. And you can still see all the detail on it. it's ridiculous. I haven't even tried 3 rings, but he was definitely the inspiration for, doing the same thing he did, which was the 2 rings from a coin, which I've done from the American Silver Eagle.
I've seen that one
and
on the page.
and I did the 2019 Germania, the first
Okay.
Germania coin.
Okay.
And I was really happy with that one. I got 2 rings from it, and the way the coin was laid out with like a pretty standard size punch. I think 7/16 and 7/8
Okay.
punch worked out on that one. And if you look on the back of it, I'm seeing if I had one. If you look on the back of it, it has this beautiful like double-headed eagle. And it worked out perfect where the cut went to where the 2 heads were included in the female's ring.
Oh wow! Did you post this on your Instagram page?
I did, and it's on there, and I thought I sent it to you, maybe not, but that's probably my favorite as well, because the customer also wanted like the reeded edge removed and comfort fit, so he wanted it more as a ring and not as a coin ring.
Wow.
So there was a lot of work that went into it, and there it is.
There we go.
And
I
liked that coin a lot, and I was happy with how that ring came out. And I will say, I completely ruined one of those coins that at the time was selling on eBay for $60 to $80.
Oh wow!
And I had never completely removed a reeded edge before, so, but I had just gotten a jeweler's saw.
Okay.
Well, how hard could it be? Well, it was harder than I thought. And after I threw that coin into the scrap pile, I had to start over, and just ground and sanded it off like I should have the first time. But like you said earlier, it's those lessons you learn.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, what ring size? What was the ring size? Do you remember for these 2 rings?
Oof. I don't. They were fairly common. They weren't, anything outlandish. I mean, it might have been to the tune of like 11 and 9 or something like that.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly.
Definitely beautiful. Let me show the completed version. They want to see that. Wow. Definitely.
So the coin, when it's together, it has what's on the outside of those rings is the tail side of the coin, and it just says Germania along the bottom. It says 5 mark along the top. It has that double-sided eagle and the wreath around.
Right.
It worked out great. Where all the text and the wreath was on the man's ring.
Wow.
And then it has this micro engraving along the whole thing that turned out. And then the parts of the eagle, like his holding arrows, that turns out in the female's band. And then the wings and the heads, and it was one of those things that turned out.
I'm gonna have to look.
He was a German guy, so I pitched him the Germania ring, and he jumped on it.
I know he did. That's a beautiful ring. And I mean, when I saw it on your page, I'm glad you sent it to me in pictures. I definitely wanted to put that in this interview, so I'm glad I had opportunity to do so. Now, you have made some difficult coin rings, because I would say making 2 rings out of 1 coin takes a certain hand, a certain eye. What have been your most difficult to this point?
That Germania is definitely the most difficult. Just because, to be honest, if you're gonna do 2 or even 3, which I haven't even attempted, but
wow,
yeah, I think you can conquer a lot of that difficulty just before you punch anything.
Right.
Use your caliper. It's an inexpensive tool. Use your caliper, measure your coin, measure your punch diameter. You can eyeball it. Measure your punch diameter, do a little math, and figure out what's going to show. And then at that point, you don't have to worry and you don't have to guess. And then unless something goes wrong with the punch, what you measured should be, what you get.
Right.
So I think preparation, with the measurements and with the coin, you can eliminate a lot of that. And then it's not guessing. It's kind of more science than art, at least for the first part.
That's what makes the professional craftsman. When it comes down to learning the skill, you learn how to do it. But what you just explained was how you gain an eye to get exactly what you intend for it to happen. And I have a caliper. It was told to me by Eric Eason to get one. And I haven't learned how to use it yet. I mean, I'm looking at it like, okay, this side here is even, that side is even. Okay, I did a good punch. But what you just explained is what I need to put in my my mind when I'm using it, because I want to make sure the coin ring comes out like it's intended to. So I'm gonna definitely have to bend your ear on that technique again with the mathematics you use in order to make sure yours is even. Because you explained it prior to the interview, exactly how you did the punch that way by doing the circumference and dividing it by 2 and then putting it inside the caliper and stuff. I just need to make sure I get that before I go, because I just bought one recently. So that's what one of the things I respect about it, the coin ring making now, is that when you talk to people, and this is one reason why I came up with this platform, because everyone has a way. We follow a certain path, but everyone starts to learn something that's unique to them. And when you sit down and ask the question, you find out those things. And like I said earlier, looking at your page and like other people as well, I'm sure certain things caught their eye. You are a creator. I've never seen anyone make a necklace the way you did the 3-part coin necklace you made for a lady that's on your site. So what gave you the inspiration to not just move from coin rings, but to other parts, coin jewelry?
Well, before I say anything, I got to give credit for that design to Old Yankee Coin Rings, because the first one I made, I messaged him and I'm like, hey, I really like what you did. I'm thinking about doing this. I don't want it to come off like I'm just stealing your design.
Mm-hmm.
Even though if you want to put it into words, that's kind of exactly what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, it's all good, man. Do your thing. And, he was 100% supportive.
Right.
And there were no problems at all, no hard feelings. And I posted it on Instagram. I think my wife is posing wearing it.
Awesome.
And she's the model sometimes, and I tagged him, original credit for the design goes to Old Yankee, and everybody was fine with it.
It's a beautiful design, and one thing I do like about it is that coin rings, if you look at the nature of a regular coin ring, it looks something like something a man would wear. But the most brilliant thing is that when we incorporate the jewelry, it's made for a woman. Because in my knowledge, understanding like marketing, women buy, men observe. So if you can make some jewelry for a woman, that just expands your business. So when I saw that, I said, I'm glad he does definitely put that into action. Also, doing the bracelets, I think it's another thing that attracts women as well. And I believe Lauro, the Lord of the Coin Rings, or Per Metal Alchemy, his wife was the motivation to that. So that's one thing that I peeped on your page. And one thing I learned from him is that the women offer the inspiration. And I think that if a woman looked at your page, that's one thing that would have caught her eye, and you would have a sale just based off that nice piece. So that's a good design, and I like the fact that you gave credit to the the creator of that design. Because what I find out in coin rings, we all are inspired by somebody, and we may take that inspiration and we take it to another level if we add things to it. So what design have you seen, but you added your own touch to it?
You know, the best example I guess I could give is I took so a female Marine contacted me, and she liked the bracelets, just like you were saying. And she wanted a "Don't Tread on Me" bracelet. And but she wanted the eagle, globe, and anchor, you know, the symbol for the Marine Corps, incorporated into it somehow. So I kept it really simple. I used a 7/8 cents punch, and I punched the center out of a 1 ounce, you know, United States Marine Corps round. I drilled a hole, used a burr, cleaned it up, and you know, polished the edge and everything, and just attached it to the bracelet, and she loved it. So it was a simple solution. I threw a charm onto you know, a static cuff bracelet, and she was very happy with that. And you know, photography wise, tried to throw a little more feminine colors in there. That marketing we were talking about, you know, not just like the dingy style of photography that I do most of the time, where it's pretty dark.
I'm saying, was this the one here?
That's it.
That's it. Absolutely beautiful. I really like this. When I looked at this, I saw the Tiffany blue, and I said, you know what, this was made for a woman, but it added the touch by adding this portion here. And when you was just explaining it, I said, this must be the one that he was talking about. I absolutely love it. I love that extra detail that you put into it. One thing that I find in this business is presentation. So how did you create the idea of what you wanted to use to present your coin rings?
Do you mean like packaging?
Packaging. Because along with the picture, you know, in your mind, one thing that I've learned about myself is that when I create a ring, the first thing I think is how am I going to present this? I think about the whole marketing plan. If I'm going to use an Aztec dragon, am I just going to put it in the bag? Am I going to put the image there? How do I want to present it? Because I want to sell it as a whole package. How do your mind work when it comes down to your creations from the beginning to the end, which would be into the customer hand? How would you?
Well, I mean, I definitely have room to grow in this area, but I keep my packaging pretty simple. Most of my boxes, that picture that you just showed was actually one of the first bracelets I had ever sold.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't too long ago. So at the time, I actually didn't have packaging for a bracelet. I just had ring boxes. So I went down to a local store, which Germany is not like the United States in this aspect where, hey, it's 9 o'clock at night on any day of the, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter, any day of the week, Saturday, you know, and I can't just run down and buy something. Everything's closed, or, you know, God forbid that it's Sunday, nothing is open in the entire country.
Wow.
So it's very different. It's not as convenient to get these things. But I went down, like drove 20 minutes to the first big village from where I live, and grabbed that box. And then I had to like buy felt separately, and I just built this packaging. And then I had a custom wax stamp made with my logo,
which I love, which I absolutely love. Do not be surprised. Do not be surprised. You look at my Instagram, you see one of those stamps.
It wasn't like I was the guy that came up with the idea, so you're not stealing anything.
I've seen a couple ones on page. I said this is just one of those old style fields, the stamp showing showing some beauty and help in the packaging. I seen one gentleman in New Zealand who had a red one, which remind me of the book The Secret when I saw it, because he had his initials in it, which I thought was absolutely beautiful. When I saw it, I said, man, that looks nice. And then when I looked at your page, I saw it as well, and it just looked so good on that box. When I looked at it, I said, that looks real nice, and that's an extra touch, which I think people have they definitely appreciate. So, what other things do you want to incorporate in your packaging?
Well, so what I'd like to start doing is just, and I've started doing it a little bit, but I need to get like good paper. And I was actually Googling calligraphy stuff the other day, because I was like, it'd be cool just, even if I could just manage to learn how to say like thanks and my name at the bottom. I'll print everything else. But if I can learn, black letter calligraphy to do that, I just, with everything today, everything's just, mass produced and stamped out of metal. And I think it means something more, just like, talking about the wax stamp. I had the wax stamp made, but hopefully it means something that I get these ring boxes in, and I sit right here, and I melt the wax and I pour it on there and I stamp it, and and then it all pours off the side, and I'm like dripping wax everywhere, and the wife's asking me what in the world I'm doing. But hopefully people realize that I'm just trying to let them know that I'm trying to leave a personal touch with something, just saying that, hey, I spent the time, I'm trying to make this personal for you, and I'm not just cranking this out of an assembly line and tossing it in a box and throwing it in the mailbox.
I think it's a good look, and it shows that you're putting a little bit more into what you do. Not just the time you spent in crafting the ring, the bracelet, earrings, cufflinks, and all the things that you do. That packaging is that person that gets excited when they see it. That's the first thing they see before they see what you made, right? So that's one thing that I looked at, and one of the things that people said about me when I first started is about my presentation, because I used to do the bags. I put people's logos, people's names, and that was a touch that I've seen that I could do, at least make happen. So I kind of like when a person adds that beautiful touch to their craftsmanship. So definitely want to give you a kudos on that. Good work. Which coin would you make into a coin ring that describes your personality?
I'm going to take that to mean what is my favorite coin ring.
Okay.
It might seem boring to some of the other like coin ring guys out there. I don't think I'm ever going to get over the Morgan dollar tails out. I punch a small hole in it. I go 1/2 inch, so you can get just the top of the head of the eagle, but you get much more of the wings, and the style of the font between United States of America and then In God We Trust being around, it's my favorite. And I think maybe if I can try to loop it back to personality, there's so much America in that coin and in that coin ring. I don't know of a more American, more Americana packed into such a small package. United States of America, E pluribus unum. It's all on there, and it's big, and I like it. That's my favorite.
And I asked that question because when a person wears any jewelry, it kind of goes with the outfit. It goes with their persona. If they're a biker, they may wear a big piece, a ring that has some size to it, some weight to it, and you kind of put that piece of jewelry to the personality of that individual, right? So, as a coin ring maker, you look and say, okay, you know what? This coin describes me. This right here is the cool, or this is the history that I want to make a conversation piece if anyone sees it. So, in that, I asked the question: which coin would you make your Mona Lisa because of what that coin means to you, or how the coin looks? Which coin do you want to make your masterpiece?
I think the only one that I might, let me just say, like calling something a Mona Lisa implies it's a little bit rare as well. There's only going to be one. You know what I mean? It's not as common, and I think that, I mean, it's tough to get more American than the Morgan. But if I were to get the chance to do a gold eagle, I think that would be pretty awesome.
Okay.
I don't think it's something I would do for myself.
Okay.
Just because I don't want that level of responsibility on my finger.
Right.
But I think that would be awesome if I had the opportunity to make one of those.
Okay.
I have the confidence to do it, but I just don't want that amount of money on my hand.
Right.
Because I'd be devastated if I scratched it or something. You know,
Right.
I would never wear it. I would just set it up somewhere and just like, oh yeah, go like pet it every once in a while. It'll be like Golem from Lord of the Rings or something.
Right.
But yeah, I think that would be awesome. I can't imagine how much time I would spend like, just making sure everything's
Right.
perfect. I would never get my money for my time, just because I'd be out there obsessing over it. But yeah, I think that would be it.
Okay. I know that the motivation behind Loro, Pyramid Alchemy, was to make his wedding band. So to making the 1 ounce gold coin into something he can wear on a regular basis that signified his one of the most important things that happened in his life was his Mona Lisa, you know. And if you look at his page, the motivation behind that was always the gold coin ring. That's what he's kind of known for. So I always ask that question. From that, I wonder what it would be. I don't have that answer because I love so many coins. I love history, um, and I don't know which one I would make um, the most important one, the one I would take more time and I would, pride wearing or making for someone else. So I'm always interested in seeing what other people would say about that. Um, Let me see here. I've looked at your page, and one of the questions I want to ask: what's the most enjoyable thing that you make out of coins?
So everybody's gonna think I'm just a boring guy, but I like simple things, and I like making a large ring out of either a bullion piece. The Pale Horse of Death
Oh,
coin
that's nice.
has such ridiculous detail in it
Yeah.
that I don't remember what size hole I punched in it, but it was close to the bottom of the stack. Like, I don't think there were too many that were smaller, but I just couldn't I didn't want to waste that detail. You start clipping part of the Grim Reaper off of there, and why even get it
Right.
if you're not gonna just wear this silver knuckle of a ring.
Right.
But that was enjoyable to make. Just to see it come out. I was happy to see it come out. I made my first one. like one of the first silver pieces I did. I think that was the first silver piece that I bought. So that was the time frame that I got into silver. It was like the tail end of the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse series, and I think my first silver purchase was 5 of those. Okay. And I made one before I understood how Swedish wrap worked. So, talking about putting your own spin on things.
Right.
One weakness of mine is sometimes I'll put my own spin on things when I should just listen to other people. Exactly. There are plenty of instructions out there on, hey, this is how you do the Swedish wrap, and you do it like this, and you don't need to push it through, and you flip it over at the end. And I was, I'll figure it out on my own, and I'm making up rules as I go, and I was just ruining all kinds of stuff, scraping detail off the side of coins that,
oh man,
it was completely unnecessary. So the first Pale Horse I did, it didn't turn out as well as I'd like. But the one that I sent you a picture of, and the one that's on this Instagram,
yeah, it's beautiful.
From fairly recent, I was happy with that, and I think I would make those all day. Those things are really nice.
You made a good point, and this is one thing I want to ask as well. I'm gonna go back to the Swedish wrap in a few, but you pay attention to that beautiful design on that coin, and you knew that if you take any off, you kind of kill the coin a little bit, right? Yeah. You want to show the whole Grim Reaper because that's the basis of the coin. That's the main piece you want to see. So going in and making that hole small, that punch hole so small, so you can make sure that that ring is attended for wear to show the whole sign. That's what I'm talking about. Really paying attention to detail, and you're intending for that to be done. In order for this ring to be worn, I'm not going to make it if I got to cut it. And one of the things I like is the coins I like to make into a coin ring is the Memento Mori coin. Yeah. But unfortunately, the head of the skeleton is going to get a portion of it, right? Yeah. But I thought just while you was talking, if I chose to use a smaller punch, that will still be intact. Which would make a beautiful coin ring. And it'd be a thick band, but
it's interesting that you bring up that one, because you look at it and you're like, there is something here. You can do something with it, but you use the average size punch, and it doesn't necessarily turn out the way you want it. And unfortunately, I think that coin, that coin is one where you have to pick a side. You have to go super small and end up with like a 14 millimeter band, or you go super big, like a 1-inch punch, and you punch the entire skeleton out. And then you just have the design around the edge, and you work that, and then have the other as a pendant or a charm or an add-on for something else.
Right.
But yeah, it's tough because, for that one, there's no middle ground that turns out as well as you'd like,
That's true. But like I said, if you know what you're going to do in the beginning, you can kind of play around with it. And that's one thing I learned maybe this year, that you can decide what you want to do depending on what punch you use. So it's just like you putting in your mind, and this is one thing I'm learning as I'm going. I always say I'm still learning. So that's always good to talk to people who actually do it. So go back to the Swedish wrap, because I heard conflicting things about this as well. I know that for me, I go in reeded edge. I go in cut edge first and reeded edge, cut edge first and reeded edge as I'm shaping the coin. I've seen people continuing to push until they get to they need the other Swedish wrap. What's your method that you find that works the best?
So, with this, annealing is key. And I'm even guilty of, I'll go on the hotter side of what's proper, because I want it to be as soft as I can get it without deforming any of the detail by the fire, But after the anneal, you know, the Teflon tape,
Right.
and, you know, I've learned not to be stingy with it. It's cheap,
Right.
and the silver isn't as cheap. So, you know, 20 to 25 wraps, and, you know, I'm pretty sure I picked it up from Skylar at the very beginning before I even had any business touching the Swedish wrap die. But to get to your question, after the Teflon's on, I read side up, and I go down through whatever Swedish wrap dies until I get to the size I want. I'm not flipping anything. I don't push through, but I want it to keep the shape that it has as it's going through.
Okay.
The 17 degree, or, you know, whatever it is. I want it to keep that, because the rim of the coin is helping to protect the detail while it's going down.
Yes.
Once I flip it and I compress the reeded side, now it doesn't offer that protection the same, and it's gonna rely more on the Teflon, which works great. But if you get a pressure point because you have a fat tire that now you're trying to force through a Swedish wrap, you know, the pressure is here on the side of the coin where the detail is. And I want it kept here where the pressure is on that rim that is made specifically to protect the coin, you know, were you to lay it on the table.
Good point.
So I don't push it through. I keep it reach side up all the way to whatever size I want. And then it comes out. It either goes on the stretcher if I need to adjust.
Okay.
And then the very last thing is to fold that top edge over. Most of my coins I keep fairly straight. But at the end of the day, it needs to be comfortable for somebody to wear it. So I don't keep, like, I try to find a balance between appearance of the ring as it's sitting and comfort on your finger.
Right.
But comfort on your finger, to me, is always going to have priority. Because if it's not comfortable, nobody's going to wear it.
Wear it. Are you sure?
You know. So as mine sit on the table and as I photograph them, you know, I might use angles to not highlight the fact that they're not perfectly straight. They are a little bit angled. And for anyone who doesn't know, that's simply because around the top edge of the coin, as it's a ring, along the reeded side of a coin, the metal is thicker. And in the center of the coin, the metal's thinner. Right. So that's the reason behind the shape of the, you know, of coin rings, if you see them like that. And I would rather the ring be comfortable. Okay.
A good point. I mean, I asked that because I see so many different methods. I see people who want straight walls, and
it does look good.
Yeah, definitely look good. So it's just different ways to do it. I think that, once again, I'm going back to what you intend the ring to look like at the end result. And I know that people have their preference. So that's one of the questions I have that I'm still learning and working on myself. So. So let's talk about this. What's the ultimate challenge that you have in this business? I mean, now taking it from a hobby, something that you took 1 year to get your feet wet in with plaid coins, jumping into the pool with silver coins, but now presenting it to the world in business. What are some of the growing pains in this process?
My weak spot is by far the you know, anything dealing with a website, anything dealing with e-commerce, website design. I'm gonna segue nicely to, you know, another point, which is, if it weren't for platforms like Instagram and Facebook, just being able to get images out for people to see, you know, it would rely solely on word of mouth, which how much slower would that be? You know, it would still trickle out, but yeah, I think I've been trying to get a website up for several months, and I'll get ahead of steam and I'll be motivated and I'm going to get on the computer. It's going to be great. Nothing can stop me.
Right.
2 hours later, I have to walk away because I've made limited progress. I'm confused because plugins are needed for different things. And
Right.
well, I had a design, an idea about the design for the page, but now I'm not sure how to go about accomplishing that. And you just have to walk away and take a break,
Right.
so you don't get so aggravated at it. So that side of the house is definitely my shortfall.
Right. It's a gift.
Tough. It's not my forte.
Right. I believe it's a gift and a curse when it comes down to taking it to that digital point that we can get for visibility, which is needed. Some people say we need a website. Some people say we don't. I think that I've found that people do well just having a social or a digital presence. So if that leads to my next question, do you think is a need for a brick and mortar because of the digital highway?
I'm going to say for the average coin ring maker, no. I think the digital marketplace provides you a lot of what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there are going to be special circumstances where, hey, somebody's just got it on lock in this town, or it's a high vacation spot. Tourists are coming through, and you can, statehood quarters going into a local boutique or something like that, and with the high tourism,
Right.
Maybe it's not your own brick and mortar, but I think there's something to be said about utilizing somebody else's maybe. I have a hard time imagining a sole purpose brick and mortar only for your coin ring creations. I'm just not sure that it would be the best investment. That being said, I have no kind of degree in that kind of thing. That is my opinion about my stuff only. So I don't want anybody yelling at you, or I don't care if they yell at me, but yelling at you in the comments like, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right.
Yeah. That's my opinion.
It's a general question. And I think that it has merit because it's still a business. Now that we are producing rings and we are broadening the horizon by making so many things, the necklaces, the cufflinks, and things in that nature, you would think that if you look at a jewelry store, say for instance like a Zales, I don't know, you would think that, hey, that's what they have there. They have watches, they have X, Y, and all these things that we are now creating. They have a brick and mortar. They're put in the mall. People do come by. They do hold themselves. But I found out that digital marketing just is where it is. It's comfortable for me. It's a shop that's always open. And I found success by creating the platform. And I think that it's a good market for us to use. So it's just one of the questions I wanted to feel how people, felt about that topic of having a brick and mortar, or do you think it was actually needed? And I agree with you. I wouldn't want the overhead of a brick and mortar or the stress of, saying, will anyone stop by? I feel that I can change a picture at any time. I can share it with other people, doing it on Instagram, Facebook, and beyond. So just wanted to pick your brain on that. What do you think we have to do in order to get the push coin rings out of the novelty stage to accept it as good looking and high priced or quality jewelry? Because I remember your comment earlier.
I spent some time thinking about this question, and how I was going to answer it, because I think it's being done. I think it's being done now. A lot of guys, the amount of time that they spend on the finish of their piece. And I think this is the main difference between, I'm going to use the word novelty in a negative sense now, like a novelty piece and a piece of fine jewelry. What's the difference? It's made out of the same metals. You know, it can be bent into the same patterns, but it's the amount of time somebody spends on the finish that's going to make the difference between, you know, a piece that is going to be overlooked or sold for cheap, or a piece that you know, could really impress someone and make someone happy when it's given as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
I think the time that people spend converting the coin ring while still not losing the detail and keeping all the character, but getting it closer to that fine jewelry. I think people are already doing it.
I agree. I do agree because since I've been doing this, and this has been only a year, I've been introduced to people who are creating, like, I go back to Pyramidal Alchemy, Scholar, Jason Works, and people I've met personally through online interaction, such as Mint Condition, Coin Crafters, yourself. It only takes an eye to realize, once you go through your page, to realize that this is more than just something that they say, or they called at one time, trench art. This is actually
Yeah.
what people can wear and be proud of, that they can even substitute as wedding bands. So I agree with you 100%. I do believe that it's moving past that novelty, which sometimes, like you said, has a bad stigma to it, into actually well handcrafted jewelry. And I'm looking forward to learning more. And when I see creators, coin art creators like yourself, I say, well, man, it's okay. It's more work to do. It's more things to learn. It's more attention to detail, and I like that, you know, because it gives me something to work towards. So definitely wanted to ask that question because I love to hear that as well. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is collaboration. Is there anyone in the community that you have met that you would love to collaborate with? Um, Meaning, create something new. Because that's what I want to see in the community. I want to see us pushing boundaries. Maybe you talk to someone, maybe you want to talk about it now, but if you talk to someone that you say, hey, you know what? I think we should create this. Have you met anyone in the community that you felt that, hey, I wouldn't mind collaborating with to create something that have not been seen in this community so far?
That's a great question. I strictly inside of like coin rings and that kind of stuff, I haven't. And to be honest, it's mainly because, as you said earlier, you know, I'm still learning as well. I think all of us are still learning, trying to push our finishes to a higher level, and you know, the learning's never done.
Right.
I do enjoy collaborating with people on Instagram, and I do it often, you know, for Veterans Day giveaways and stuff like that, just ways to promote other people's businesses. But inside the coin ring community, while you know, you've said this before, and I agree with it 100%, everybody's very open to help out someone who's struggling with something.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you can tell that they've tried to do the work on their own. Like they've tried something and failed. They've tried to do some research and they're just hung up on it.
Right.
I've never experienced to where, you know, a situation where I come onto a chat or anything like that and ask for help and somebody's denied it. Everybody's always been hopeful, like I was mentioning earlier. So yeah, inside the coin rings, I really haven't reached out to collaborate. There, Skylar mentioned it on your last show. There was a like a coin ring judging like contest that he was
Yes.
part of, and Badland Coin Rings reached out to me when they were first coming up with that idea.
Right.
And I just had a whole lot going on, not even coin ring related, just with life in the Marine Corps and stuff. And I bowed out of that. And
Right.
I kind of wish that I hadn't, because that looked like fun when I watched the judging and everything. But short answer is no, I haven't collaborated with anybody in the coin ring community.
I think it would be interesting because, say for instance, I know that you melt. You do melting, and you know I looked at
just started. That was like my first one, and
okay,
I learned a lot.
I think that, you know, when it comes down to putting pieces together, because you're moving beyond coin rings at that point, and you're looking to say, what can I do with this? What can I create? And when you're doing pours, I think that is a great combination piece with rings, with bracelets, with pendants, and you have it now your signature pour. So that's why I brought up the collaborations, that one person may be great in pouring, and it will complement what you already do. So bringing that force together will be something that you can present to a customer. A pocket piece, along with pieces they also wear as art on them, as necklaces, earrings, pendants, and rings. So that's one way to collaborate that I've seen that people are starting to move towards in the community, which I thought was pretty brilliant. But when I looked at you dancing with the silver that day, I said, "Yep, he may be on the path to creating that." So I can't wait to see what comes about it, you know. But it's definitely something I have. I have a furnace, and I'll be playing with it as well. And I sometimes sell certain pieces that I do melt. So looking forward to see if you jump into that arena.
I definitely am heading in that direction. Unfortunately, it's slow going. I think next year I'm gonna go like official business, you know,
Okay.
LLC and all that, to try to move forward quicker, because you know you get frustrated with lack of progress with something you want. You know, I know the way forward. I know how I want to get there.
Right.
And I think it would be really awesome to do what you said and start designing my own pieces. I'm 100% positive that I would continue to draw inspiration from some of these coins that are my favorite.
Right.
But I think it would be great to throw, you know, my mark on something that I designed, you know, on a program, 3D printed, and then cast. And I think that would be awesome. And,
that would be nice.
That's where I'm headed towards, you know, who knows how long in the future, but that's where I want to go.
That's something definitely looking to. Now, how have you used your coin ring business in helping organizations that you care about?
So, make sure my phone doesn't die. So the shirt that I'm wearing is veterans referring veterans, and it's a website. You can go on veteransreferringveterans.com, and it's kind of equivalent to like an Angie's List of just veteran-owned businesses. So you can go on. You know, it's free for you to go browse. There it is. It's free for you to go browse any of the businesses. You know, whatever's on there, the individual businesses put on there. So, you know, I post my own photos on there. Any of the other veteran-owned businesses do the same thing, and it just kind of allows you to see them, see their products, and kind of just get to know what's going on with those businesses. So it's more of an intimate feel instead of just, hey, I need to go buy towels, so let me go on, you know, Amazon and buy some towels. If you're going to spend the money, you know, hop on veteransreferringveterans.com and see if there's something on there that suits your needs. I love to collaborate with other guys inside of Veterans Referring Veterans, and it's just nice to, I don't know, to support the team, you know. Support each other in any way we can, and it's all there in one place for someone to go on and see what's available.
That's pretty awesome. Now, how do one become part of it? Because I know that there are a couple of veterans in the coin ring community, and that'd probably be a good network for them to start. So, what's the process?
You go right on the page. There's a contact us link like anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's name's Justin that runs it, and he's a good old boy like most of us. And shoot him an email, tell him who you are and what you're doing, and hey, I heard about you and thought it's a good thing. He'll vet you a little bit to make sure that you're actually a veteran,
Right.
and you get on the page.
Right. All right. That'd be great. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And I definitely want to put a link inside the description below to that, because I would like for more people to be aware, for those who are not. And I have some people in mind, so I definitely want that to happen. So thanks so much for mentioning that to me prior.
Yeah.
I wanted to definitely show the site so people can see it. And how long have you been involved in that?
Let's see, just over a year, I think.
Okay.
We did, I did this year's Veterans Day giveaway, and we all kind of, lumped together and plaster it all over Instagram, and try to promote each other as much as possible. And it's tough with rings because they're sized to the customer. So
Right.
I'll usually just throw on a gift card so somebody can pick what product they want. But I think there were 27 companies that took place this year, which was about double from what it was last year. That took place in the giveaway, and it was a good way to throw out some free swag, and from all the veteran-owned businesses, and
Right.
and attract some new customers to everybody.
That's true. I mean, I think it's a good idea. What is your most favorite item that you make that is probably your hottest seller at this present time?
I wish I had a hottest seller. That would be nice. I think that those silver, the statehood quarter necklaces, have been in a lot of variations, have been popular leading up to Christmas. There was one great story that I got to learn about. A guy was ordering a necklace for his grandmother in remembrance of his uncle, the grandmother's son, who was born in 1946, gone to Vietnam as a Marine.
Wow.
And died in 1966 at 20 years old.
Wow.
So he wanted, we talked about it for a while, like what's the best way to do this? And we decided we would use a 1946 Washington quarter, a 1966 Washington quarter, and then we would use like a 1 gram Marine Corps silver piece for the bottom that dangles off of the bottom quarter, and it would symbolize his birth, his death, and
Wow.
And the Marine Corps. So hopefully they find some kind of meaning in that piece, and it's sitting out in the shop for me to make it.
Wow. That's one thing that I wanted to bring up, and that's why I did that, because usually the best pieces, our most profound pieces, are the one people find personal. And one good thing about coin rings is that they have dates, and those dates always touch a person in a certain way. The day it was born, the day a loved one was born, a day one got graduated, one got married. So these are things that the designs that I think that touch people. I love the cufflinks that you made. I just think that adds a
Appreciate that.
touch of style, and it's a good conversation piece. But when I looked at the necklace, I saw so many ideas, and you just explained how that could be worn and that can be made personal to a person who purchased it. So I think that's one thing that needs to be relayed when we talk about the coins. It's not just a piece of jewelry, but it can be made for a particular reason for a person to really appreciate. So thanks for sharing that story. Um, where can the people reach you?
So I'm on Instagram at Hand Crafted by Pfeil, and there are underscores in between the words, but it comes up easy enough. Same
Mhm.
name for there's a group and a business page on Facebook
Mhm.
under the same name. You know, it is that blowing out? It looks like this. There it is.
Got you.
It
Yeah.
it looks like that. So Pfeil is my last name. It's German and it means arrow. So
Arrow,
that's why there's an arrow on there.
Mhm.
So there you go.
And that's one of the things I wanted to definitely tie that in, because when I looked up the meaning of your name, I knew that it says like arrow, war. Before I knew it was your last name, I thought it was stating because you're a soldier. So what fitting last name, you know? What strong last name for a warrior, a modern day warrior, being a Marine. So this part of the show is what I call the lightning round. I ask 6 questions, random, on top of my head. Don't take much thought. I just want to know your response to it, and so we want to start with that. So you can relax. It's not going to be nothing too deep. Just want to
All
know
right.
how you feel about these 6 questions thrown at you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Ralph, Phil, file.
Pfeil.
There you go. I got it. Finally. What is your favorite book that you last read?
Well, the book I last read was some history book that I was forced to read at work.
Okay.
My favorite book is Without Remorse by Tom Clancy.
Okay.
It's a revenge story and it's beautiful, but I'm not going to spoil it for anybody.
Okay. Tom Clancy. He writes a group of books, correct? Um,
Yes, he has many books. Unfortunately, I guess 5 or 6 years ago now, maybe more, but he passed away. But yeah, he has many, many books. And
right. I know I heard it off before. What is your favorite thing to do other than making corn rings?
I free dive. So I learned how to free dive, I guess 4 or 5 years ago. And it's one of those things that when you're doing, you can't do anything else. Your head has to be, otherwise you just won't be successful. And it's also one of those things that is very mental, because you can't just try harder and get better at it. You have to relax. And so it's almost like you try less and you get better at it. It's a very interesting mental state that you have to be into. But this past summer, I went down to the Canary Islands and I got my personal best. I got down to 117 feet.
Oh, wow.
By holding my breath and diving down. And I got my longest breath hold of 4 minutes and 32 seconds.
Pretty much.
It's good for me.
So you telling me this is like when you say free dive, this is without a tank?
Right. No tank. You hold your breath at the surface. We do use like long fins to help get us down there faster.
Right.
But mask, snorkel, fins, and where are my hands? There you go. And you just fin your way down, and then of course, back up, because that's the important part. But
yes, pretty amazing. Not this first time that I heard anyone who does that. So pretty interesting. We definitely have a member of the community, World Stalker, who does deep sea diving, but it's more as a business. He goes, he traveled over 80 countries, and that's what he does. So that's pretty interesting. All right, what's your favorite? Taking a nap, cookies, or doing 100 push-ups straight?
You're setting me up for failure. There's one I'm supposed to say, but I'm gonna say the nap, because if my wife hears me tell a lie, she'll jump in here and tell you it's taking a nap anyway.
Got you. All right. What's the last movie that you watched?
So I'm behind the times, and I just recently I had to plan ahead and set up a 3-hour block of time uninterrupted, because I like to get into the movies that I watch. I don't want to be interrupted. And I finally watched Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
And it was worth setting up the time to not be interrupted, because spoiler alert for everybody, it's coming. All right, I'm gonna spoil something if you haven't seen it. Yeah, Captain America, you got the hammer going. Hit me right there. Yeah.
Oh wow. Hello, tearjerker. I gotta check it out. I'm gonna check it in private. I don't want my daughter seeing me. She'll definitely make fun of me at the end. So I gotta check it out. I haven't seen that movie yet. So okay, all right. What is a motto, words of wisdom that you live by, that you would not mind sharing with a person that is walking by?
You know, I heard you ask this question to Skylar, and I should have been prepared for it, but I'm not. Unfortunately, a lot of things that I say regularly are not good for television. Yeah, I don't really have. You know what? I got one. I said it already, but I do say it often, and it is good advice. And I do say it to people. I laugh so you don't cry. Like something's going wrong. Look, it doesn't matter how ridiculous it is. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's so ridiculous that all you can do is laugh. Like it's not going to do you any good to dwell on it and sit there and be sad. You know, laugh so you don't cry. I say it all the time, just when situations are bad, you know, and you look around and you're like, man, just appreciate how ridiculous it is. If, you know, you're out in the field and it's raining on you and you're cold and you're like, man, yeah, laugh so you don't cry.
Wow. 15 and a half years, going on 16 this January of serving in the Marine Corps. If you could sum up 16 years in one word, what would it be?
Excuse the movement. I have to get plugged in here. All my time in one word. You're asking good questions. These are tough. I think even though, you know, times aren't always great, you know, there are struggles, and you know, just like anybody else has struggles. I would say appreciative. The struggles only make you stronger. Whenever times are rough, but then times get good again, you appreciate them more. And it just makes you more appreciative for the things that you have.
That's awesome. That's a good word, and I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. Appreciative.
Well, I'm glad I could think of it, because you hit me with these oddball questions. You know, I'm not prepared.
That is the whole purpose of the bonus lightning round, is to have you think on top of the dome. Just like I had to come up with the questions, you had to come up with the answers. So, Kyle, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for taking out the time to be here. with Let's Chat as an opportunity for the community, not just to see your work, but also get to see the person and the person behind it and what drives you to make the beautiful art that you put out on a daily basis. So, man, I really appreciate. Can you tell them where to find you once again?
Yes, sir. Before I do, thank you for having me on. It was great talking to you. I gave you a hard time a couple times over your questions, but they were fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. Handcrafted by Pfeil on Instagram and Facebook. Website coming soon, we'll say.
Awesome, man. We're going to sit down and make sure that happens. Man, I thank you once again for sitting down for 1 hour and 34 minutes, almost an hour, 34 minutes after a long work day. I really appreciate you taking the time out to make this happen. We're going to put this together, and thank you. And I'll talk to you real soon, my friend, okay?
Yes, sir. Have a great one. Thanks again.
Oh, also, one thing before you leave, I'll make sure I put it in. There's a giveaway that's sponsored by you. What is that giveaway?
Yes.
Because I'm putting that in as well.
Hey, so if you throw up a picture of, it's a year 2000 JFK dog tag style pendant on the chain, instead of the 2000, I'm going to use the classic 1964
Okay. Awesome.
coin, but dog tag style pendant on the same chain that's pictured, and I'll be listening to you for the results of the giveaway, and then I'll handle shipping that out.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. And they're definitely going to be in for a treat. So thank you so much. Get some rest. And I'll be talking to you real soon, my friend.
All right. Thanks again, JT. You have a good one.
You as well. Guys, that was Ralph Pfeil. Definitely a pleasure sitting back and talking to him, learning about him, seeing some of his work. I tell you, check his site out on Instagram, Handcrafted by Pfeil. Excellent workmanship, a craftsman at heart, professional. And I love his pictures. It definitely brings out the beauty in his work. But I know that some lucky subscriber is going to love that pendant that he creates. And I can't wait till he presents that to them. So, guys, this is another episode of Let's Chat. Thank you so much for joining me this Saturday for this pre-recorded interview, which will show on Saturday. Thank you. I'll see you in the chat. Take care. Have a wonderful evening.